When was the last time you did an all-nighter?
Oh, very, very long ago. I think the only once in my life have I stayed up for 24 straight hours, and it was at a
Mm,
writing camp when I was 17.
writing camp. Interesting. Okay. I did a few of them in college and stuff like that. Some because of schoolwork, some not. Just because I was
Mm,
hanging out with people or we were off
just break
dancing or who
dancing the
knows,
night
right? Yeah,
away.
exactly. Or
Break
playing
until the
video
break of dawn.
games. Exactly. Um, I almost pulled an all-nighter last night. I did not. I had to force myself to stop playing the video game I was playing. But Melissa,
Okay.
I have a new obsession in blueprints. I
Yes.
mentioned this to you, I think, last week at the start of
Mm.
the review show. Uh, its basic premise is very similar to the House of Leaves, where that book House of Leaves is about a house that is bigger on the inside than it is on the outside. This game, your uncle passes away and bequeaths you his mansion on one condition: that you prove that his 45 room house actually has 46 rooms
Oh,
inside of it. And so you
you
go
know this
into
is
this house.
exactly my kind of story.
Yeah, and you go into this house and you try solving mysteries and stuff. If you've heard of or played the Myst video games, they're
Okay.
kind of a lot like that, where sometimes you'll run across a puzzle or a mystery and you won't know how to solve it yet until you're however long deep into the game, and then you're just like, oh my god, that made so much sense. Like, how did I not
Mm.
know, right? And so part of the mystery is trying to find that 46th room. Part of it is trying to find out, like, what happened to the people that lived here, all your relatives and stuff. And there is some wild mysteries and puzzles that when you solve them give you hints for other things and all sorts of stuff. But one of the catches is that every time you enter the house, the house, the where the rooms are completely different.
Ooh.
So as you go and explore the house, you are kind of creating the layout of the mansion, and stuff like that. And the rooms that you open up, right? Like sometimes you'll get a rarer room that you can pick, like the aquarium room or the
Mm?
observatory. But sometimes you just might get like the east wing hallway, or like the dining room or something like that. And so, yeah, depending on what room you go in, you get different resources or all of this stuff. Um, to explain an example of one mystery that's in there, there's artwork all in the house, right? A lot of them are these illustrations of different things. It'll be like a pine tree, and then there'll be like a safety pin and stuff like that.
The
And
picture of the spoon from The Room.
sure, yeah. Um, but uh, you get to a certain realm, and on a bulletin board there's an example of these artworks posted, and then sticky notes on them, and one says with and one says one says without. And for example, the pine tree and the pin is pine without pin is an E. And so you have to like make note of like, okay, this room is an
Ah,
E, like that room is a T, this room is an S, and you have to like map all this stuff out and stuff. And it's just like, this is awesome. I'm hooked. I'm obsessed.
you know I love a screwy building more than I love many other things, and it is
Yeah.
not something you get enough of in just about any medium or genre. So even
Yeah.
though I'm not a video game person, this is more tempting than anything else I've ever heard of.
Yeah, it's been fantastic to play. Of like, look, why are there so many clocks in this one room here? Or like, why
The
is there
clock room.
chess pieces in this room here? Yeah.
Have I ever told you about the Neighborhood Listen?
I don't think so.
This is one of my
I've heard
very
of the
favorite
neighborhood watch.
podcasts. It's a play off that. So it's a
Right.
podcast. It's an improv comedy podcast
Okay.
starring Paul F. Tompkins and Nicole Parker and Brett Morris, who is their actual sound engineer.
Mhm.
So it's about these two friends in this fictional town called Dignity Falls. One's a realtor and one's a pharmacist. And they take real world posts from like Nextdoor and other neighborhood apps
Mm,
and transplant them to this fictional town.
that's
They just
cool.
like change the names of streets and other proper place names. And they just talk about their weird little town using stuff from our world. But the sound engineer plays Joan's husband, Doug. And for complicated sound reasons, he can't record from the same room where they're recording from
Mm.
in the fiction of
Okay.
the story.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
every episode, he's in a new room of the house, with the conceit being that Joan, being a real estate agent, she's got this big house and they're always doing something with it and they're always remodeling it. And every week it's like, Doug, where are you coming to us from? And he's like, I'm in the bean room. I'm in the cigar room.
Yeah.
I'm in the sun chamber.
Yeah.
And they're like, do you mean sun porch? And he's like, no, I mean the sun
Sun
chamber,
chamber.
honey, that I
Yeah.
built. Yes. And then it just turns into the end of Sunshine, basically.
Yeah.
He's got a
Yeah.
full sizzler in the basement.
Oh, that's
Just
great.
recreated the restaurant sizzler.
That's great. Yeah, that's exactly what this is like, because it's the house is on a 5 by 9 grid is what it is, right? So there's like there's 45 rooms there. The only ones that are the same, there's the entrance hallway, like the room you first come into, and then one of your goals is to get to the antechamber on the other side of the
Ooh.
house. And yeah, I haven't gotten close to the antechamber yet. And you have a thing where like you only have 50 steps is one of your resources, and every time you enter a room, you lose 1 step. And so as you explore, you kind of have this countdown timer. Then once that expires, it's like, okay, you're tired. Go take a nap in your tent outside, and stuff like that. And then the next day when you come back, everything has completely changed. So, yeah, it's an interesting one for sure.
What is the most specific room you've ever seen in any real house you've been in?
Ooh,
Like, have you ever been to a house
trying to
that's like,
think.
this is the aquarium room? Have you been to a house that had a real library or a real conservatory or something like that? A billiards room? Any of the clue rooms?
Um, oh God, I wish I remembered the layout of the house. I was at one point was in Dick Cheney's house. Uh, it's weird to say because it was without his knowledge, but there is an explanation. My friend growing up, his father was Dick Cheney's personal chef. So
Ooh.
I was hanging out with them, and he had to stop by the house, and so he was like, "Yeah, well, let's go in. I'll show you inside." I'm sure there was like a billiards room or something like that in the room. I don't remember because I
Mm.
didn't care at that age, right? I was like talking about basketball and Pokemon or something to my friends, right? So yeah,
I've
I don't
seen
know.
a sauna, a
Oh,
personal
interesting. Okay.
indoor whole sauna room. There is a house in my area with an observatory,
Mm,
and I would drive by it and I'm like, that's got to be an observatory. What else can it be? It's not just like a decorative rotunda, it's got like a little window on it, this big dome.
right.
That's an
Yeah.
observatory. And finally, I met somebody who lives down the street from that house, and I was able to ask her, is that
Okay.
really an observatory? And she said, yes, but it doesn't work.
Did they put like newspapers on the windows? Do they
No,
not have a telescope?
appa-
They only have like a
appar-
magnifying glass.
apparently, there's something with one of the lenses where it was engineered just like a fraction of an inch off. So
Mm,
when you look up at the stars, it's got like kind of a wobble to it. And this neighbor lady I was
weird.
talking to, who's like, I don't really know the owner of the home. We're just neighbors. I'll like pass her. We'll say hi. So I don't know the full story. She's like, there was an astronomer kid in the family. They built the observatory.
For
It's got the
him.
wobble, so they don't use it. And she's like, if I had a table that wobbled, I'd still use that. And a table costs a lot less than an observatory.
Right? I mean, I'm sure the specific lens they need to get is fairly expensive, but you would think that would be something that's like, damn, all right, well, we can't use it until we fix this thing. But they just decided
Mm.
not to fix that thing and was like, all right, well, we got a sun chamber now.
We used to have a decorative observatory, a
Right? Yeah.
decorative, non-functioning, like wax grapes.
Or like the towels in that one bathroom your mom has, right? Don't touch those towels. They're decorative.
This is the guest observatory.
Yeah. I've we my parents' house in Laredo technically had like a maid's room. That's what like it was built to have a like live-in maid or like a live-in nurse where it's like here's a real tiny room big enough for a bed and maybe a dresser, and then it has like a teeny tiny bathroom. Um, but that was, I feel like, the most specific room. I've been into a couple houses that do have that like living room that is only decoration, like you're not allowed in there,
Mm.
but it's a
The
living
company
room, right? Like
Have you
what are you
been,
doing with this room? This is useless.
Kyle,
You don't live here.
for once in your life, have you ever been the company that company stuff is saved for? Has it ever been you when you go to somebody else's house and you get to use the good towels? Because I don't know if I ever
Oh,
have been.
I don't think so.
What are you going to do to be that kind of company?
I don't know. You gotta be rich or something.
Some sort of connection.
Right. Or
I
like,
won't
or
know I'm arrived until somebody's presented me with a little soap in the shape of a seashell.
right, yeah. I feel like not just rich, but they're like expecting something out of me, like a business deal. So they would eventually get money to replace the decorative stuff. Or if I
Mhm.
use it up, right? They can't use a half-used seashell soap bar if my body hair is on it, right? For the next guest, like who is here?
We assure you this lump was a seashell once.
Right,
This
yeah.
was a conch.
Yeah. Anyways, welcome one and all to the Whatnauts Captain's Log. My name is Kyle Springer. I am joined by Melissa Wilkinson. Melissa, how are you?
Hello. Having a fine week. Got to go on a kitchen tour last week. Went
You've
to
been
3.
on all kinds of tours recently.
I've been on 2. I've been on 2 house tours. I will go on more. Uh, Twice in my life, I've gotten a peep inside a mansion, and I always find something interesting. They always have a full grand piano.
Yeah?
I think once you reach a certain level of net worth, you're obligated to buy a piano.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. Give me a Steinway or whatever it is. What's the there's the other
It
one
is
that's
Steinway and Sons. Yes.
Steinway and Sons. Oh, okay, yeah, I was gonna say there's another one that's and Sons, but I guess it's one in the same there. Oh man. Last thing on the blueprints, there's apparently a room in there called the Rumpus Room.
Oh, you got to watch out for the rumpus.
I think it's just their playroom, but still. Anyways, Melissa, let's jump into our cinema corner. Now you also have a challenge for us this podcast.
I do. Nearly 5 years ago, I introduced Melissa's Cinema Corner, parentheses, the cinema is her couch,
Mhm.
which is what I called it when I was just stuck here on lockdown watching things on HBO Max. Uh, we've kept up with the Cinema Corner, and I realized you can't have just one corner. There must be four. We got to start having four corners in every episode. They don't always have to be the same four corners, but we got to have four.
Four quarters. See, I could see us having like four bits like that we kind of rotate in as
Yes.
needed. Maybe not necessarily every single episode,
Right.
but I get where your mind is behind that. That's a good thought. I can't believe we didn't think of that before. Like, we only have one corner. That's impossible.
Yes. I mean, we were never math kids, which is why it took us 5 years to realize this. We ourselves in this podcast have built an impossible house with a single corner.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So we'll get to our other corners and stuff like that. But let's
Uh-huh.
start with our cinema corner here. Later today, I have tickets to go see Warfare, which you already saw, Melissa. Talk to me about Warfare.
Warfare it is what you think it is. It is incredibly tense and incredibly haunting because every single thing on the screen, nothing is fabricated or fictionalized. Everything is exactly the way Ray Mendoza and his crew remembered it from the actual mission this film is based off of. So that gives it this sense of texture. And throughout the movie, I just had random moments where I just wanted to start crying, just thinking about like the way the light comes through a curtain. Like, that's only there because that's how these guys remember that light looking. It is by their grace alone that I see the light through the curtain. Like, it's such a strange feeling. And even if you were the sort of person who was interested in a war movie, and I know not everybody is, this is not the sort of thing that you can comp out with something else. Be like, "Oh, I've seen Saving Private Ryan. I'm good. I know what this is." You don't know what this is until you sit down and you watch Warfare.
Huh.
And I saw Warfare last Saturday night in a packed theater.
Cool.
Uh, People jumped. They cried out in distress. There were multiple points where the woman next to me was just like, Jesus.
No, that's
I
this
think
weekend. That's Easter.
I think Joseph Quinn screams for 20 straight minutes.
Whew. There you go.
To the point where then I went on to watch the Fantastic Four trailer, and I'm like,
You're
is
not
he
screaming,
okay?
dude.
Is he okay in this one? Uh it was the best film I saw all year for 6 days. It held the record for 6 days, and then I got to see Sinners.
That's what kind of impressed me, because I was tangentially interested in Warfare. I was like, it looks good. I don't know if I'm really gonna go see it per se, but then last week when you were like, I saw it and it's maybe my film of the year so far. I was like,
Mm.
one, I did not expect you to go see Warfare. Two, I did not expect you to praise it that much. Of like, it was really good.
I saw it because I am a cinematic thrill seeker. I'm not a real life thrill seeker, but I'll watch damn near anything happen on a screen.
Yeah.
And the fact that the movie is largely in real time, there is like a short preamble at the beginning, but for the most part, it's like 90 continuous real time minutes in this movie. And I was intrigued by that as the setup for this war movie, because you're going to get unbelievable moments of tension and suspense, but also just the mundanity of these guys sitting around waiting for something to happen. Like, the guys being dudes part of Warfare also attracted me to it.
Yeah. And it also had Alex Garland's name attached. So I was interested in that, to say the least. Sinners is also on my list. I have heard nothing but good things. I think I still haven't actually sat down to watch it, but it kind of came onto my radar in a major way when Ryan Coogler released his little video on different film formats and stuff like that, and people were even just praising that of like, this is a reason to go see the movie, like go do
Yes.
that. So
Yes.
hopefully this next week I'll go check that one out.
Kyle, you in particular throw the word phenomenal around quite easily.
Mhm.
After I saw Sinners and I turned on the episode of the Big Picture podcast about it, and they described it as phenomenal. That's the first time I've ever heard that word and thought it was too small. That's how good Sinners is.
Good. Yeah. That was also one that I was like, but it's kind of a horror. So I don't know. I'll be fine without it. And then yeah, from
Won't.
what I've heard is like it's sure it has some horror bits, but it's not really a scary movie per se. Um sure there's some scary things in there. There's certainly tension, that kind of scariness, that kind of
Mm.
horror, but yeah, I've heard enough like
It's
nonstop good things. I'm just like, all right, I have to go. I have to go watch this.
it's it is a lot of different things put together, and it is so graceful in how it executes all of them and unites all of them, and this thing actually makes sense.
That's awesome.
That's the thing that impressed me the most. It's like that telescope lens. Like, if you built this thing slightly differently, it doesn't work, but everything lines up and everything works.
Yeah. And I've also heard like it was partly inspired by this one like obscure Twilight Zone episode, and then he was also on a podcast where Ryan Coogler was this past week, where he was explaining that one of the big inspirations for Sinners was also the recent Puss in Boots film, and how the
What?
villains are very similar, and stuff. That wolf guy with the sickles and stuff. I was just like, I don't remember that movie enough to, and I haven't seen Sinners yet to know the comparison. So that just seems wild to me. But the fact that he's out there being like, oh yeah, Puss in Boots, that one was a big
Puss in Boots: The
inspiration on
Last Wish.
Sinners, right? Yeah,
Ryan Coogler seems like one of the smartest people alive. He's
right.
so well informed and well researched, and he can pull these seemingly unrelated threads together and reflect back on the patchwork of American culture and really help us build the quilt going forward.
Yeah, yeah. So that one is on my list. Sounds like nothing but a good time. Um, there is one that we both saw. We went to go see The Amateur. This is the kind of spy thriller starring Rami Malek. Lawrence Fishburne is also in there. And I never
Not as
remember
much
his
Fishburne as you wanted.
right. And also, I don't remember the actor's name. I know him as Bill Tench from Mindhunter.
Oh, Holt McCallany.
Yes, thank you. He's in there too. He's always fantastic. I like him as an actor a lot. Yeah, I had a good time with this one. I didn't
Mhm.
think it was anything super incredible, but it certainly wasn't bad.
Right.
Uh,
It's a nice and easy Sunday afternoon TNT watching a recliner movie.
right. Yeah. The plot is basically John Wick, but instead of a dog, it's his wife.
And
Right.
instead of
Uh,
John Wick, it's a nerd.
right. Yes. Yeah. It's basically if you like the Born Supremacy, this is another one of those, but instead of the action star, he's the IT guy, right?
Yeah.
And it was totally fine. It was incredibly competent. The in the way when we covered the Bourne trilogy, or the whole Bourne franchise over on the review show, one of the things we talked about was their lingo, their jargon, the like logistics jargon that they had. This had that. also in the
Yes.
way they did like names and places and this and that, like all the details hit at this kind of rapid fire pace that makes it seem that much more believable and realistic. So I enjoy that a lot, that
Yeah.
aspect, because that's also something that we thought about the like more recent born movies. It just didn't have that same magic, that Tony
The Gilroy
Gilroy,
touch.
right? Yeah.
Yes.
So good stuff
The
with the amateur.
amateur was surprisingly straightforward. I
Mhm.
don't think it's that much of a spoiler to say there's no twist in this. You
Yeah,
keep
no,
expecting there to be a twist, and there is not. What happens is what the trailer tells you is going to happen.
and not in the sense that the trailer tells everything that happens in the movie, but just by the premise alone, right? It's just like, okay, guy's wife died. Guy says, "I'll kill them all," and he
Yeah,
basically does, right? Like
right, and there's
that's it.
there's no reveal that, like, the wife was alive the whole time, or it's faked her death, or he's being played. No. It is what
Yeah,
it says it is.
yeah, yeah. I always really like Rami Malek in a role like this.
Mhm.
Um, I was talking with my partner about this afterwards. I feel like he's best deployed in a role like this. As much
Mhm.
as I want him to see him get out there and try different things and roles, in the few that I have seen him where he is not the like weird nerdy tech guy kind of thing. I don't know. I don't like him in those roles as much, or it's not as believable. He's such a specific actor, but I also don't want him
Yes.
typecast either, right?
Right.
Is the thing. It's just like you naturally have this look and feeling about you and the way you act. And I think there's a scene in here that is maybe the most like animated, joyful that I've seen Rami Malek, except for maybe that scene in Mr. Robot where he has the coffee and he's walking down the street and he's just happy, right? Like there is a
A
scene
great
where
scene.
his wife is taking off for this business
Oh, yeah.
trip, and he's just like he's so happy and he's smiling. Like I think that's the most like joyful and animated that I've seen him. He's
Right.
usually just this like straight faced, wide eyed,
Right.
like IT guy, and he's great in that role. I love it. But that was just like,
Right.
whoa, he's happy. Wow.
How long has it been since you've seen the Night at the Museum films?
Of course, that is also one that my partner mentioned. She was like, I loved him in that.
I
It's
they're
been
a
a
ve
long time.
I saw them all, like, summer of 2019. It was great. They're a great rewatch. Those things are so silly, and they're such a hoot.
Oh man, good stuff. Good stuff. Well, I have a couple of TV shows that I've watched. I
Mhm.
know you have a couple other movies here.
Yes, my
Uh,
rep screenings I've been to this week.
yeah. Do you mind if I take a quick detour into the silver screen here?
Yeah.
So I watched all of Daredevil Born Again. I got caught up with that one. The finale was this past week. I had a pretty decent time. I liked it a lot. I don't think it lives up to the hype of the Netflix series or the heights of the Netflix series. Um, I don't know. It on one hand felt like it was kind of ineffectual and they introduced a few things that I was like, oh, that's really interesting, and then didn't do anything with it.
Mm.
Um, but then there's also kind of a story that they're telling in the background about symbols and masks and the people that use them that I think is really interesting. Marvel in recent years has had a big problem with people co-opting the Punisher symbol.
Mhm.
A lot of police officers, co-opting this symbol for like, we're gonna protect the people and take out criminals, when very obviously none of them have read any of the Punisher
Mhm.
comics or, all that. They completely misunderstand the character, and they are more often than not also the type of people that the Punisher would indiscriminately kill, for their corruption and stuff
Mhm.
like that. And so this show is addressing that in a ways here, and it's neat to see. It's interesting, but it does not feel done. I think I remember when they announced Daredevil Born Again, and there was this like it will be 18 episodes, right?
Yes.
So this is only the first half of that. So we still have more of the story to go, but it truly did feel like just half of the story rather than like, oh, here's a complete season, if that makes sense. But some very gruesome stuff happened there. I spoiled something for my partner because I was like, I just have to tell you about this. But there's some wild practical effects on a kill that happens that you see, and it's just like, oh my god,
Oh
okay.
boy.
Yeah. Maybe I'll tell you what that is off mic, so we don't spoil that for anyone. But I think that alone might get you to
I
watch it, because I know
I
you
watched
like the practical effect, like go go go
I
go 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 go, the practical effects gore stuff like that.
right, which I feel like I have to explain to people who think it's weird that I like a nasty horror movie, and I'm like, I love stunts and choreography and special effects. That's what I like,
Mm-hmm.
not death itself necessarily.
Right, yeah.
Just
I'm not a
kills.
goth,
Horror
I
movie
promise.
kills. Right.
Did you ever have a
I did
goth phase, Melissa?
Yes, yes,
Wow,
in, like,
okay.
middle school because I don't know, there was a girl in one of my classes I looked up to who was, like, big time goth, and when I was younger, we were so, like, aesthetically clicked,
Sure, yeah.
like, if there was if you wore something from Hot Topic and one of your classmates wore something from Hollister, they were your enemy, and
Yeah.
I'm I'm happy to report that I don't think kids nowadays are quite like that. Their aesthetics are more like costumes they put on and take off, and they're
I don't
not these
know.
like cold, hard social lines between each other.
I don't know. I'm not sure, but yeah, I certainly remember that. I somehow managed to be like one of the kids that was able to like bounce around to different groups. But interesting.
I've
Goth
been on this
Melissa.
I've been on this weird journey as an adult. We're in so many other things, in so many stories, there's like the person who wants to break free and live a more punk rock lifestyle. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
realizing punk rock doesn't work for me at all. I am a prep. And nobody ever let me be a prep before. I thought I wasn't allowed to want to wear boat shoes and a polo shirt.
Right.
But that
I
is what
want
I
to be the
like.
office lady.
Right. I want to wear my like nice Tommy Hilfiger polo dress and my nice Calvin Klein purse.
Oh man. Well, speaking of like middle school age kids, high school age kids, I also finished Yellow Jackets season 3. Melissa, you've been waiting for me to catch
I
up. Uh,
because I don't know anybody else who watches this, and I haven't found in my real life, and I also have not found like a good YouTube channel covering it yet that I can really vibe with the way I vibe with like new rock stars for
yeah,
Marvel stuff. So I've just been alone over
yeah.
here.
Um, I love this show. I'm obsessed with it. We have covered it a bunch over on one of our other podcasts, the Reactor Core. I don't remember how did we do season 1? We covered that in one giant thing at the end, or was it like a
Right, because
halfway? And
no, because I think like the show had been on for a couple episodes before it got on your radar, and then it took a
right,
while to
that's
get
right.
on
Yeah.
my radar. So we did like catch up and then do one thing at the end. Season 2, I think we did, like, every 2 episodes,
in chunks,
which
yeah.
yeah, which I found I don't like to do quite so much, but for these real mystery-heavy shows, that I can do. I do have, like, an hour's worth of stuff to say after every 2 episodes of Yellow Jackets, because
Right,
it's
yeah.
just all these, like, salty little mystery hooks. That's what I watch it
It
for.
just keeps you
It's
coming back, yeah.
right, and, like, we're both big Lost fans, and the philosophy we left with, the philosophy we try to pass on to other folks who have not seen Lost or never finished Lost is
Or did
it's
and
a
didn't
it's a
like it, misunderstood
right.
it.
It's about the character journey. That's what you focus on. The mysteries are just gravy. For Yellow Jackets, the mystery is the meat for me.
Yeah, I have a lot of little mysteries and stuff that I wrote notes on as I was watching this. But this is also a show that's like, I also don't want to get so wrapped up in the mystery box that I lose sight of some of the of the character journeys
Yeah.
in this, right? But yeah, I finally got all caught up, reactivated our subscription. Actually, this is the downfall. Is like I didn't start watching it because I was thinking I had to reactivate my subscription to Paramount Plus with Showtime,
Mm.
do all that stuff. Turns out we have our friends login.
Ugh.
They watch that streaming service a lot. They gave us the password. I forgot that we had that, so I at one point had deleted the streaming service off of our Roku TV, being like, I haven't paid for Paramount Plus in so long. I'm not gonna watch this until Yellow Jackets. So I didn't actually need to reactivate anything, which is the like, oh man, I could have been watching this the whole time, and we could have been like covering this week by week or every 2 or 3 episodes, man. But yeah, I finally got all caught up because the finale was also last week too. So I love that show. I think it's so good. I like there were
Yeah.
some great comedic moments in this show that I laughed out loud. Just some absolutely gruesome stuff. If you've been keeping up with the show, I love how this season wrapped right back around, came full circle as the final
Mhm.
episode is in fact called. Um, Man, there's just some really good stuff. Some really interesting mysteries that I picked up on too. Some new stuff
Yes.
that I'm like, oh,
Yes.
okay, here you go.
The the
Uh,
thing about Yellow Jackets for me is that the the period of missing time, not missing time from the characters' lives necessarily, but they know so much more than we, the audience, know,
yeah,
which is not always the case with other mystery box shows. Like, I know as much as Mark Scout knows. I know as much as Jack Shepard knows. But Shauna Sadecki knows way more than me. And I'm like, Shauna, tell me something.
yeah, yeah.
There's something really
And don't you
compelling about
lie,
that.
Shauna.
Right. There's something really compelling about that particular dynamic that the show has over other mystery box shows for me. Like, there's a gap in the middle. We've seen how things started and how they're going now, and filling in from either side towards this middle point is what has me really excited.
Yeah, yeah. Um, there's some great stuff. I think Jeff continues to be an underrated side character who's just hilarious.
We're gonna talk a lot about Jeff.
Jeff is great. I love him. Um, yeah, all kinds of twists and turns. Of course, we will be covering this over on the Reactor Core. We will be recording tomorrow night as we record this on Easter Sunday. We'll be recording our Yellow Jackets season 3 coverage on Monday night. Since we are only doing a single episode on it, we probably won't be able to get as in depth as we have been for season 2, but I
No.
still have extensive notes that I will be pulling from. So I'm super excited to talk about that show more in depth. So be on the lookout for all of that. There you go. There you go.
I have a couple more movies I'd like to run through quickly, and maybe then we can do a housekeeping,
Sure. Yeah.
which that's not a corner. I don't know what
No.
it's a closet. It's not part of the room. The repertory screenings I went to this week, I saw the Coen brothers Barton Fink in
There you go.
35 millimeter.
Cool.
It was a busted 35 millimeter print, but I don't know if you've never seen Barton Fink, right?
I have
Because I
not.
just watched it for the first time. John Turturro plays Barton Fink, a playwright in like 1941 or something, who is hired to go out to Hollywood and write a film script. And he's holed up in this run-down ramshackle hotel trying to finish this script. And the hotel is hell. Like
Mhm.
it's not just a bad hotel, it feels like a separate dimension of pain. And when he leaves the hotel, because it's not a bottle movie, he'll go and he'll talk to people. When he
Sure.
goes and he talks to people, that feels normal as any Coen Brothers movie feels. But he
Okay.
goes back to the hotel and it's like, this is another realm. And the fact that the film print was so scratchy added to that sense of
Unreality.
surreality and
Right. Yeah.
everything like crumbling around you. It actually really worked.
Cool. I like that. That's fun.
An excellent John Goodman performance.
Nice.
One of the best. I also saw the 20th anniversary re-release of the Keira Knightley, Matthew McFadden Pride and Prejudice, which I'd also never seen before. Completely missed me as a 15-year-old girl who you'd think would be the target audience for Pride and Prejudice.
Well, at 15, you were in the midst of your goth haze. So went right over your head.
This movie, I can see why it's like the comfort food movie people watch 100 times. It feels
Mm,
so lived in. It's so lush. Uh, but what's funny about it is that it's full of jump scares.
interesting. Okay.
Where where Elizabeth Bennet will turn around and Mr. Darcy is just there.
Like
With like
Batman.
various characters. People in our theater who would jump because I guess they forgot it's coming. I'm not kidding. This happens like 5 times. Somebody turns around and suddenly another person.
Wild.
Never seen this many jump scares in a non-horror movie.
Which is also like interesting to think about because in today's day and age, we have so much like noise pollution from cars on the street to like that weird
Oh,
hum
sure.
that you can sometimes hear from electronics or a TV that like someone walking up and sneaking up on you can be plausible just in the midst of all this noise pollution. Back then, when they didn't have that, right? Not all that electronics and motors and stuff. Like you would think you'd be able to hear someone walking
Right.
up on you, but I don't
You
know. I
you
guess
can
not. Ninjas
I
existed apparently, right?
there's just a lot of farm animal noise, I guess. I don't know if there's enough sheep around to drown out Matthew McFadden in big leather boots.
Right. If the cicadas are loud enough that you can't
Does
hear
anyone
anything.
have cicadas?
I don't know.
Where are cicadas?
In the ground, I hope. Nowhere near me.
I've never seen them in entertainment from outside of America or Japan. I
Anime, yeah.
right,
Cicadas, real big in Japan.
I've never seen like a French movie that has cicadas in it. So I don't know where cicadas are. I'm
No
gonna look this
idea.
up over our break. Finally, I watched Ma.
Maw.
Do you remember Ma?
No.
This is a Blumhouse movie
Ooh.
where
Mm.
oh, oh, hit a button. I'm back. This is a Blumhouse movie where Octavia Spencer plays this nice lady who agrees to buy booze for these rowdy teenagers, and she's like, "I don't want you guys driving around drinking. If you're gonna drink, like, drink in my basement, party in my basement. I can keep an eye on you. I can hold on to your keys, and
Okay.
then I can tell you if you're, like, not able to drive or not." Uh, and it's a horror movie because she is sinister. Ma is sinister.
I vaguely remember it.
This thing is such a hoot. This is such a wild, rowdy, fun time. It's one of those horror movies, it's just a slasher. There's just stabbing. It's not scary. There's blood in it, but it's not even especially gory. There's just like
I
red
gotcha.
splatter and mild tense music. So it's good for horror babies like yourself. It's so funny.
Interesting. Okay.
It's really well put together. Please, if you want just like a rowdy, fun summer night, watch Ma.
Ma. That's so it like M-A, right?
Yeah,
Not
Ma.
M-A-W.
No, Ma.
Just
M-A.
Ma, as in mom or mommy.
Think of it as an acronym for Master Actress
There you
for
go.
Octavia Spencer.
Good stuff. Okay, well, with that, with one corner of the house built, let's take a quick break for housekeeping, and when we return, more corners. We'll be right back. Thank you so much for checking out this podcast. We hope you're enjoying it. If you didn't know, we make multiple different shows here at the Whatnauts, and a lot of hard work goes into making them, so we would love it if you check them all out. But none of this is possible without your support.
Boy.
Head over to patreon.com/thewhatnauts, and you can get access to over 40 hours of exclusive content, including our Patreon first podcast, The Pilots Club, when you sign up at our $3 tier. Of course, there is a free version of the Pilots Club available, but episodes are exclusive to our Patreon for 2 years before they hit the free feeds. If you're interested in buying merch, we have shirts, hoodies, mugs, and more for sale over at thewhatnauts.com/store. Another great way to help us out is by subscribing and leaving a nice rating and review on your podcasting app of choice. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel for video versions of the show, trailer reactions, and live streams. And lastly, you can always find out more information about the shows we make on our website, thewhatnauts.com. All right, we are back once again. A big shout out to all of our Patreon supporters. Thank you so much.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate you. It means a ton. Patreon.com/thewhatnauts, of course, is where you can support us. Let's see. Over on the Pilots Club, we just released our episode on The Killing, the original Danish version of that show. Which is the next installment of our Year of the Detective over on that show, which has been a lot of fun. But Melissa, the one we are gonna do for this next week is the Mystery Files of Shelby Woo. Tell me a little bit about this one.
This is an old Nickelodeon show about a teenage girl who is an intern at a police station, and she solves crimes. And all the police officers are like, "Get out of here. You're 15." And she's like, "But I'm very smart.
But I'm a
gonna solve
detective."
this." She's a detective.
Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. So be on the lookout for that next month. And then over on the free version of the Pilots Club, we finally released our episode on Bob Patterson, which is just a really weird oddity of a show. Right. They filmed a handful of episodes. A number of them are lost to time. Only like 5 or 6 episodes are actually out there that you can see. But we watched the pilot. It's about the world's 3rd most successful self-help guru, a sitcom starring Jason Alexander after Seinfeld. What a weird show.
Every time you say it, I have to laugh like it's a punchline.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the setup is.
Right, yeah. Bob Patterson, the punchline himself.
Right. He's a self-contained joke. Which is funny because it's almost like the show was all set up and no punchline because it only aired like
Right.
6 episodes.
Yeah, yeah. But coming up next on the free feed of the Pilots Club is our episode on Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, the animated series out on Disney Plus. That is still just a spectacular show. Unfortunately, I think the show ended up getting canceled after it did its 2 seasons, but season 2, I think, didn't even air its full. I'm not sure what happened with that. It's an incredible show. Please go check it out, especially if you have young daughters. It's a great one. So yeah, that is what's happening over on the Pilots Club. Right here on the review show. Last week, we got to catch up on a bunch of pop culture that we had missed from the weeks prior because we were doing other things here on the Captain's Log, which we so often do. Apparently, today was supposed to be a food draft on
Yeah,
our
apparently.
list. So we did not do that. Next week is supposed to be a build a Star Wars, which I still want to do.
I have no
Since it
idea
will
how
be,
we're going to construct a Star Wars, so I look forward to you figuring this out.
we'll talk. I'll come up with something that should be fun. We'll build a Star Wars, make our own Star Wars. It should be good. We've kind of done something similar in the past. I think we
Yes.
made like Star Wars plots, but that was it was like a
We
smaller
found like
version
a
of it.
we found like a Star Wars character name generator, and we generated a bunch of names and tried to figure out who would these people be and what is their relationship to each other.
I see.
And I
Yeah.
think it wound up being about a chocolate magnate.
Weird. Okay. I'm sure we had a blast as we were making it, but
I swear it was about
don't remember it.
I swear it was a rock band who was gonna play at like a candy maker's industrial
That's right.
symposium.
Because
They
of
have to
Star
go to
Wars
like
Visions, not enough
an
music in
industry
Star Wars.
they have to go to like
Yeah.
an
Okay.
industry convention. Like they're the keynote entertainment is this space punk rock band.
Interesting.
It
I'll have
was
to
not
find.
it was not Star Wars at all. I don't think there was one Jedi anywhere.
Well, that's the thing is Star Wars can tell great stories without the Jedi, without the Skywalker family.
Yes.
So, anyways, we'll get to some more Star Wars news in just a sec. But the pop culture news we caught up last time here on the Captain's Log included all the recent Marvel announcements, all of those chairs.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So go check out that episode of the Captain's Log. Of course, this has so far also just been a bunch of pop culture we're catching up on. There's always so much happening, you know. Over on the review show, we just started comedy month, I guess is what we can call it. We watched what I will now call a modern B-movie classic. In I Was a Teenage Wereskunk is what we watched over on the review show this past week. We had a great time. If you like the vibes of old school, like 1940s, 1950s sci-fi, like B movies, this has that in spades, but was made much more recently. It's hilarious.
It's
Maybe
deeply
performance of the year that we have in that one.
yes,
So good
it's
stuff.
it's such a weirder movie than you think it's going to be, and it's silly in a greater variety of ways
Yes.
than the initial premise would suggest.
Yeah, indeed. So go check out our episode on that. Over on the Reactor Core, we've already mentioned Yellow Jackets. We will be recording our season 3 coverage of that ASAP, so be on the lookout for that down the road. And if you're still looking for some Severance spoiler casts, we have the second half of our Severance season 2 coverage over on the Reactor Core as well. So there you go. That is housekeeping. All of that good stuff. Everything we've been up to here
I
at the
did not
Whatnauts.
I did not find a good infographic on where cicadas live. First, when you try to Google it, it does tell you different types of trees. Like, no, like countries where they live. There's
Interesting.
apparently a bunch in Australia, and there's
That
like
makes
a
sense.
bunch of different kinds of cicadas, or it's one
Oh
kind
yeah.
of cicada in different brood generations.
There's
And different
certainly
broods live in
different
different
kinds.
places.
Because
Right.
I lived on the East Coast where there's that one that comes out like once every 17 years or
We've
however
got one
often,
too.
and it's so bad because there's so many of them. It's disgusting.
That was last year here. Yeah. Um, so I don't know for sure if the absence of cicadas in certain media means that cicadas don't live there, or it's a rarer cicada where it doesn't show up as much because it's like a 25-year cicada or whatever.
Right? Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't
So
know.
well, another mystery to be solved alongside yellow jackets. How come there weren't cicadas in season 2? We may never know. Uh anyways, more corners to keep playing along with this bit. Melissa, do you want to go to the F1 corner or the Star Wars corner?
Uh, let's go into the Star Wars corner.
Okay.
This is all new to me. I'm not
Yes.
as much of a Star Wars person.
So Star Wars Celebration has been happening this weekend. I think they just wrapped it up this morning. But basically over in Japan since Friday. They've been right. It's just like the stuff you see on like Comic-Con or D23 where people are on stage talking about upcoming projects and they bring out the actors and here's a clip from this thing and that thing. If you are a big Star Wars fan, this is kind of like the end all be all of Star Wars announcements that they do. They announced everything from movies to manga to comics and books and toys and Legos and video games, all sorts of stuff. So if you're interested, there's plenty of stuff you to go check out. I will only hit a few of the bigger ones that were announced here. I think first and foremost, Star Wars Starfighter. This is a brand new movie set a few years after the events of the sequel trilogy, which will star Ryan Gosling and is directed by Sean Levy. This is coming out May 28th, 2027. This was new. No one had like
Yeah,
speculated. Like I think
yeah,
Ryan has been
new.
talking to the people at Disney for Star. Like bam, it hit, and everyone was like, "Oh, whoa, this is
Right.
wild."
I've
Um,
heard its name potentially circling Marvel, but I've not heard it potentially circling Star Wars.
Interesting. Yeah. So this must have been what that is. A fairly generic name, in my opinion. I don't know if they're planning on changing it. I know at one point,
Starfighter asterisk.
right. I know at one point they were planning on a Rogue Squadron movie that was supposed to be like a
Yes.
dog fighting movie.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
wonder if this is kind of a retooling, rework of that kind of thing. Because that's what I get from Starfighter, of
I
like he's a pilot, but I don't
the
know if that's the
the
case
thing
or not.
about
I don't know.
the thing about Rogue Squadron is that it was going to be a Patty Jenkins project, and it was
Right.
really personal to her because her father was a pilot, and I believe he died in the line of fire. So she had this very direct personal attachment to it. So
And it kind of
I don't
fizzled
know
out.
if yes, but then I never heard like a definite no, it's no longer happening. So who knows?
I
Just to
vaguely
say that I don't know.
remember it being announced that it's no longer happening. I'm sure a quick Google search could let us know, but still. Um, yeah.
Just to say that it doesn't seem like the sort of thing that they would retool in place with another director if it had such personal connections to a
Well,
previous director.
yeah, I mean, I think she has a personal story that she could bring to it, like in that sense. But the name Rogue Squadron was also the name of a series of video games, so it already has cachet in like the Star
Hmm.
Wars fans' minds that this is a thing. We also now know that where in canon the name Rogue Squadron came from. Um, uh, God, why is my mind going blank? What's the Star Wars movie, the
Rogue
Rebels
One,
one? Rogue One.
the
Thank you. Yeah,
Tony Gilroy
right.
movie.
Yes, yeah. My favorite Star Wars movie, the one I forgot the name of. Yeah, like so they use that name like Rogue Squadron to mean something now in canon. So I wonder if there is kind of if there was some kind of back and forth between like, well, we have a canon Rogue Squadron, you need to do something more over here in this space, and
Mm.
she was wanting to do something over here in that space instead. I don't know, but Star Wars Starfighter sounds pretty neat so far. Um, I don't remember if we had a release date for The Mandalorian and Grogu. Also, a name that I think is just pretty bad for a movie, but they are taking kind of all of the TV shows, The Mandalorian, Ahsoka, all that stuff is kind of culminating in The Mandalorian and Grogu. That movie is coming out May 22nd, 2026. I don't remember if that was previously announced or not, but that's out there. For fans of the animated series Clone Wars and Rebels, which I always have to put in a plug, don't skip those shows, as well as Bad Batch. They're incredible, and they are some of the best Star Wars out there. There is a new animated series called Star Wars Maul Shadow Lord. Spoiler alert, if you haven't watched any of the cartoons or didn't watch Solo.
Oh, he turns into a spider.
At one point, yes, Maul did not die in the prequel trilogies, even though he got cut in half by Obi-Wan. He did not die, and his story is
Night
in a bunch of
Sisters
those
give him like
cartoons.
4 robot legs. That's all I know about Star Wars is the Night Sisters gave Darth Maul a
At one
set
point,
of
yeah.
robot legs, and he's like a spider on the bottom.
Yeah. Those legs do not stick. He eventually gets other legs and so
I think
on
he
and
should
so
just keep
forth.
getting more legs.
He eventually
Why
takes over.
downgrade?
It's right, yeah. Just like I now have 9 legs.
Right, just become a centipede. Come on, do it.
But yes, Maul is also, I think, one of my favorite characters in the Star Wars universe. He's been fun to follow. He took over the underworld at one point, and I think this is following him between the events of Clone Wars and where we see him next in Rebels. And I guess him leading the underworld and then losing that. And I think they also mentioned him taking on an apprentice and training him up there. So we'll see what that one is fully about. Sam Witwer, the voice actor, will be reprising his role. Star Wars Visions Season 3, which is a great animated series. This one is not canon, though, and it is an anthology series where every episode is a brand new story, not canon, and it is done by a different animation studio. They get big name animation studios from all around the globe, as well as some smaller, lesser known ones to just be like, tell a random story in Star Wars. Go, have fun. Which is where I think our Star Wars story that we were discussing, that we did our own build of Star Wars, where I think it came from. Because there's an episode in season 2 where there is a band playing at like the halftime show of a pod race or something like that. And it was this idea or this realization that like we don't know much about the media landscape in Star Wars, or like what music they listen to outside of jizz. And yes, it is named jizz music. So yeah, it was just like we need to see, we need to make our own Star Wars more. We want a punk band.
I found the episode. Episode 187 from May 7th, 2022, titled The Sicko Bros.
Sicko
To
bros.
celebrate May the 4th, we use a Star Wars name generator to help build a movie about two brothers sneaking into an electronics convention to crash the keynote speech and turn it into a concert. It's got everything you've ever wanted from a Star Wars. Pop punk, free chocolate bars, a Twilight businesswoman in a sensible pantsuit.
Amazing. Will any of those characters come back next week? Find out. Will the sensible pantsuit return? You never know. You never know. But yeah, we are getting season 3 of Star Wars Visions that is coming out later this year, October 29th, 2025. I think you were about to ask a question on this one.
What other franchises should have a Visions?
Ooh.
So there's Star Wars Visions, there's Marvel What If. What else should have one of these? I'm talking
you need
more
a
about
spy one. James Bond, I think, would be
James
really
Bond
interesting.
Visions.
Yeah.
I have not seen Star Wars Visions, but as far as I know, it's like short,
yes,
animated, non sequitur, out of canon little stories.
Uh-huh.
And I just thought about how funny it would be if you gave it to something that's small to begin with, like the Bear Visions. See what those dishwashers are up to. Because that's a show that, while it is not a massive franchise, does have a depth of different supporting characters you can pick up. Somebody just does 5 minutes on Josh Hartnett.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to see Visions even in like a specific director's filmography, right? They do like M. Night Shyamalan Visions, right?
Michael Mann Visions.
Short stories about like the people at the beach in Old that were heading next to the other family, just like watching them, like, what are they? What's happening over there?
A
right?
mid-sized sedan prequel show. Have you seen Old yet?
No, I have not.
Please. There's sincerely something in Old that I really want to talk about and reference, but I never want to spoil that it's in Old.
Interesting. Okay.
It would help my life so much if you watched Old. We'll do it on
I will put
the
it on my
review
list.
show.
Yeah.
Okay. But do you know mid-sized sedan?
I mean, I've seen them. I know they exist.
They go to the beach that makes you old.
Oh, that's right. I do remember now. It's a rapper. His name is Mid-Sized Sedan. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's that guy everyone loves who's going to be the Green Lantern. I think it's that guy who plays Mid-Sized Sedan.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. That's so funny. But yeah, Star Wars Visions, different animation studios. There's even one by Aardman. Is that their name? The studio that does Wallace and Gromit. They have one in season 2. Some big name anime studios like Studio Trigger and stuff like that have made them. But something else that is new, like spinning out of Star Wars Visions, they announced long form series spinning out of a couple of these shorts that have already existed, including The Ninth Jedi. I to be honest, it's been a while since I've watched it, so I don't remember what short The Ninth Jedi was. But there are a number of those stories that are like, this is so cool. I would love to know more about like this world of Star Wars, this creator's take on Star Wars here. And I haven't read into it enough to know if this is like multi-episode series based on this one short story, or if it's just like, hey, you did a short, now do like an hour-long thing here. But some kind of long form series based on one or two of the Star Wars Visions shorts, which I think is exciting. That's fun that they're now like, hey, that one was good. Do something a little bit longer now, right?
Good for them.
No, that's neat. It's neat. So that is officially the Star Wars corner. So we're halfway there.
Let's transition to miscellaneous pop culture news corner. Kyle, I put a movie trailer on here that I asked you to watch without context. Have
I
you
have not
watched it yet?
watched it yet. I was gonna do
Would
that
you like to
live on
do it now,
air here.
please?
Yeah. Okay, let me pull this up. Um pulling
Don't
it
look at it.
up.
Look at
I'm
as little
trying
as
to make it.
possible.
Oh, it's on the like still image of the screen, so I
Sure,
know
sure,
what.
sure.
Let me go back
L-
to the
I
start, and I
don't
can
want you
pull
to
this
read the
up on
description
screen.
text. I want you to have as little information as you possibly can.
Okay. I am. It's on screen. I'm hitting play in 3, 2, 1. I don't know if this will come up on our YouTube, if the sound will come on. So probably no
That's
sound.
okay.
But here we go. 3, 2, 1, play. Stadium lights. Come on. Packed stadium. Football. Planes flying over. You have to dig deep to transcend the game. Quarterback. The music even sounds like an Under Armour commercial or Gatorade.
Sweaty, it's screaming.
Rise and grind, bro. Never good enough. Collision. Two people bang heads. Nobody wins in a headbutt. X-ray vision.
And then the keywords from producer Jordan Peele.
What am I willing to sacrifice? Demon. Someone's uvula.
Teeny babes.
Masks. Say it. Willing to sacrifice everything. Then show me. Interesting. Him. Hello, girls. That's my hymn.
Right. It is difficult to separate from the important legacy of Powerpuff Girls villain him.
Yeah.
I saw this movie on a list of upcoming titles just by title
Sorry
alone.
about that.
Just
our intro
him.
popped back up.
And I'm like, what's him? Is this another one of these faith-based movies about Jesus Christ? No. The logline for this movie is a young quarterback goes to train at the secretive and secluded compound of a sports legend. And this thing finally is a poster. It finally is a trailer. I would check on this like once a month to see if there was more about him, because it was billed as a sports horror. And those are two genres that do not cross over. A sporer, right. You don't get those. Sometimes you get a sports drama that feels particularly sinister, like Foxcatcher, but nothing like this. And I love that this trailer starts like it's just a normal sports movie or a commercial for a sporting good.
Right.
And until you get to the words from producer Jordan Peele.
Yeah. Which to be clear, he's only producing it. He's not
only producing
writing or directing it, but it's still like this. This feels like his touch, right? It feels like oh yeah. If you like Nope or stuff like that, like you might like this.
Touch is like not just horror, but like weird horror. And this trailer looks weird.
Yeah, I liked that trailer a lot. I almost watched this independently without you bringing it on here. I think I started to, and then something happened, and I left. But yeah, that one looks fantastic. Looks wild. I'm in. I'm sold.
Good.
Good stuff indeed. But yeah, other pop culture stuff that we got here. Let's see. Going over to my list and my notes here.
The Fantastic Four trailer.
Yes, we have to talk about that one. Melissa, how excited were you for this Fantastic Four trailer?
I think it looks terrific. Silver Surfer looks like a real metal lady. She looks
Yeah.
solid. She looks like a decorative object that you would keep in the living room that nobody goes in because it's only for company. I love Big Galactus stomping around through the city. They
Uh-huh.
look like a good family. I love when the trailer says "Welcome to the family." It feels so
That's
sincere.
fun.
I'm really
Yeah.
hyped for this.
Yeah, indeed. Um, that reminds me of something else. The one battle after the next trailer.
One battle after another.
Yes, thank you. Also filmed in the same format that the
This division.
Brutalist was filmed in. I saw that. And then the end of this Fantastic Four trailer says, like, filmed in Fantastic Vision or something
We're
like that,
getting
right? Yeah.
it's not just Star Wars. We're getting all kinds of visions this year.
Exactly, exactly. Who knows? We might get some news on Marvel's Vision Quest later this year too. I don't know.
Put Paul
Um,
Bettany on one of the chairs.
yeah, indeed,
Put
indeed.
Paul Bettany in one of the chairs. He's like, "I'm here too. Hi."
Yeah. So I liked this Fantastic Four trailer. Good stuff so far. It does seem like they are doing the Galactus storyline. Which again is interesting because of the history of Marvel trailers. A lot of what they show has tended to be very early on in the film. It's not
Yeah.
always true, but more often than not, most of what they
Yes.
show happens very early on. So I like, man, I'm wondering where this movie is going to go if Galactus does show up early and their world gets eaten early on, right?
You
Would be
do
kind of wild.
you do have a good point. The Galactus seems like he would be the big bad, the finale of this.
And he might
And
be.
but we also have reason to Paul Walter Hauser is in this movie, likely believed to be cast as Mole Man. Would you imagine be like, this is your first act, let's get introduced to the characters in the setting type of scuffle? But they're not showing us Mole Man. They haven't John Malkovich is in the first trailer. He's not in this one. What's John Malkovich doing?
Right.
Like Galactus, we know. We know Ralph Ineson is Galactus. We know he's got to be the big bad because he's literally the largest. But there's these other actors who seem like they would be playing smaller villains that would be typical trailer fodder, but we have not seen them.
Yeah. Or I mean, it could be in the way that Thanos was first introduced in a post-credits scene. I'm wondering if they're kind of flipping the script on that and introducing Galactus as this big giant villain that the Fantastic Four like escape from, and their universe gets destroyed and they go to another one, and most of the movies in that universe instead. And like they know that Galactus is coming. They're right. The Silver Surfer Herald is out there being like, "Your planet is next," right? That could be an interesting way to like introduce Galactus and then not have him be the villain for this film, but have it be down the road, right?
I think
But I
they're
kind of
already
want
doing that.
Galactus, right?
I think they're already doing that with Doctor Doom. I don't think they're also going to do that with Galactus. Not every villain can be a kickball that they just tease and string along, because they also
True.
just tried that with Kang. And of course, there's outside forces affecting the Kang storyline.
Yeah.
But I don't, they can't do it that many times. Not all at once, not all in a
True.
row.
True. Indeed. But that could also I mean, could even be like the sequel, movie 2. I don't know, but I agree with you. He's a big enough villain that I think like you would want to do one of the two, and everything they've shown so far has not really said that they are punting him down the road here.
Right. He's now Doomsday.
Yeah, indeed, indeed,
I mean,
indeed.
did they say Ralph Ineson isn't on any of the chairs? So we
Not
don't know for
yet.
sure that he's in Doomsday. We don't know that he's not, but this might be the Galactus movie.
Yeah.
this
You
one.
never know. Or maybe this is where they introduce Squirrel Girl, and in the Squirrel Girl comics, she's able to stop Galactus by convincing him to eat nuts. So
Oh my god.
there
Our
you
most
go.
powerful.
Right? Yeah, the
Forget
unbeatable
Captain
Squirrel
Marvel.
Girl.
Forget Amelia Clark from the end of Secret Invasion. Our
Right? Yeah.
most powerful is Squirrel Girl.
Yeah, indeed. Anyways, yeah, I enjoyed this trailer a lot. It was neat to see Reed out there stretching and getting to see his power. Um, it looked like he did have the kind of like I don't even know what you call it, the device, the like pole that he needs to like stab in the top of a
Pole vault.
tower that they used in the Galactus story to like get him away, or triangulate the signal, or however that went. I don't remember exactly.
Get him away like it's one of those bug zappers or those things that
Right? Yeah.
emit a frequency that scares off mosquitoes. Like you
Right?
can just
Yeah.
do one of those for Galactus.
Maybe. You never know. You never know. It's like a reverse dog hassle.
Invisible fence around Earth.
Yeah, but the fence sends out a signal to his taste buds, and the big signal just looks like one of those green yuck stickers.
Tony Stark said he wanted to put a suit of armor around the
Right.
world. Do you actually did this? Yes, and fur, but there's so
Tony Stark wishes.
he built a force field.
Yep, they sure do. Wouldn't put it past them. Anyways, yeah, that's really all I have to say on that trailer.
Looks
Good fun
exciting.
so far. Melissa, big news for you. Pacific Rim TV series officially in the works over at Amazon. Eric Hessier is on board as a writer. He's been writing Shadow and Bone over at Netflix. He also wrote the adaptation of Arrival. So we know that this will serve as a prequel to the films, which is interesting. But with the news of this show officially being greenlit, he also said that there is potential for new films to come down the road. We don't know what that would look like. So there you go.
It looks like Smash, Punch, Stomp. Look, I have a sword. It looks like that.
So this is also coming from Legendary, whatever the name of their stuff is. They also do the MonsterVerse show on Apple.
You like that?
Yeah, which was really fantastic. I think if they had the budget and mindset to do like giant monsters, they're also like giant monsters with mechs. Aha! Right? That makes sense. So I'm looking forward to that. Did you ever watch the animated Pacific Rim on Netflix?
No, I haven't.
2 seasons of that out there.
Oh.
And there's comics out there that you can check out and stuff like that. So there's more Pacific Rim than just those 2 movies, but I feel like more coming down the road is always a good thing for Pacific Rim. Good fun, right? More Jaegers, please. So I think last time on the podcast we talked about the Wile E. Coyote versus Acme, or whatever it was that
Coyote versus Acme, yes.
Thank you. Yes, being saved by Ketchup Entertainment. In a similar vein, there has been an R-rated comedy by Genndy Tartakovsky, the famous animator behind Samurai Jack and Primal. Many other well-beloved shows, including Star Wars Clone Wars, the 2D one. But he's had this R-rated comedy that he made about a dog who, on the night before he's about to get neutered, goes on a bender. And that show,
Sounds
I
great.
forget where it was originally supposed to be put out, if it was supposed to just be
Max?
in theaters or on Max, because I
No.
wonder if his association with Cartoon Network or something like that. But that got shelved, and this week got saved by Netflix. They, I think,
Good.
are
Thank
releasing
you.
it later this year. So an interesting one there. It's Genndy Tartakovsky. How can you shelve something by him? He's a
Oh,
legend.
a
Just
longtime legend.
his name alone will get me to watch anything that he
Right.
puts out, like guaranteed.
You know, you're really gonna get the millennial audience in there, all the kids who grew up on Dexter's Lab.
Right? Exactly. Um, so good news about that. Peacemaker season 2 finally has a release date. August 21st is when it is coming out. The first
Interesting,
little
because I knew
teaser.
this was on I knew this was on the slate, but this seems soon.
Yeah, they've been like, I think the first teaser came out a couple of weeks ago. I wouldn't even really call it a teaser, just kind of like the shortest clip you can think of, just to be like, hey, it's coming. um I know that they have an all new intro, a new song, a new dance.
Wow.
That has been previously announced. I remember that, so I'm
Ooh.
excited to see what they do with that intro. Should be good there. And last but not least, here in our third corner, season 4 of The Bear has wrapped filming. I saw a picture that Maddie Matheson posted. He was like, "We
Very
just wrapped
nice.
season 4."
I
So
think
I'm
that's coming
excited
out
about
this
that.
summer.
Yeah, this summer or fall, I believe. If they're just wrapping it now, that would be around the time when it comes out. Um, One last thing that I forgot to write down on this. There's finally a stunt category in the Oscars.
Yes! Oh my god, how
Um,
did I forget to write this down? Yes,
right?
and
Yeah.
this is going to be part of the this is gonna be part of the 2028 ceremony for the films of 2027,
Hmm.
which means if it holds to schedule, Secret Wars is gonna be one of the movies eligible for this.
Star Wars Starfighter eligible.
Ah,
Yeah.
finally.
Yeah. That,
I
that
I
should be fun.
think I think it was something people had been wanting for a long time, and it was just the logistics of trying to narrow down, okay, what about stunts do we want to award? How do we award it? Like
Yeah.
how do you qualify who gets the award? I'm happy they ironed out those technical details. Next year we also get a new category at the Oscars. We're going to have best casting. Films coming out this
Good.
year
Cool.
are eligible for best casting,
Cool.
which is an award that has existed in other award bodies, but not at the Oscars before. So it's interesting to see how that's gonna play and what sorts of films are really gonna resonate there.
Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. I'm
Mhm.
excited that it's in there. But that's kind of it for our pop culture lightning round corner here.
Okay, time for race cars.
Hmm.
Welcome to our final F1 corner. I actually got
Um,
to catch some F1 on TV because I've only
there
seen
you
it via
go.
Drive to Survive or the highlight clips on the F1 YouTube channel, which are really valuable. I
Yes.
love that
Yeah.
immediately after every race, they'll put out, like, here's 8 minutes of what you really need to know from that
Yeah.
so that you're ready for the next 8 minute highlight reel. But I got to see practice runs on Friday on
That's cool.
ESPN2.
Nice. Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. The race that is happening this weekend is happening as we speak, if I'm not mistaken. They are
I think
in
it started
Saudi
at
Arabia.
10:30, so it might have like just wrapped up.
Let's see. Let's see. I mean, it's apparently still live right now, according to their
Okay, okay.
website. But um, yeah, I am not watching it just yet. But yeah, I was delighted when I saw this on our notes that you put F1 corner on here,
Yeah,
because I'm sitting over here like one of us, one of us. I
one
hooked
of us.
Melissa.
You've done it. I have responded to this. I have found I love the sound of the vrooms. I
Yep,
find it really calming, like when you play white noise for a baby.
sure, yeah.
Uh, I love that there's only 20 guys, and it's really easy to wrap my head around who all of them are.
Mm-hmm.
They put out a lot of, like, personality human interest pieces, like, there was that Meet the Drivers video that
Mm-hmm.
F1 put out this past week.
Yeah.
Um,
I think they
my
also did the
favorite
meet the team principles and stuff like that.
Yes, yes,
Uh,
all the dads. My favorite so far is Lando because he always looks so sad. I
Great.
swear, every
Your
time
mic your mic
I know
cushion
I
windscreen
had one.
is the papaya orange
Thankfully,
there.
I
Yeah.
had a papaya in my pack. I'm gonna have this through the through the finale in November. Every
Papaya rules.
like
There you
po
go.
every like post race let's talk to the drivers video they do, Lando
Uh-huh.
looks like he's just been crying.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel for that kid so much because he's been so close, and the way
And
the
he's so
sport
hard on
goes,
himself.
he is this poor sweet baby, and like he's got so much like rivalry. Like there's him and Max, and there's him and Oscar, and like he can't even when he can win. This is such a long game, and if you're at the top, you can slip from being at the top like so
Mm-hmm.
easily. We're only on like race 4 out of 24 or something. And like there can be times when mathematically you are winning, but it doesn't feel like you're winning.
Yeah.
I I like him a lot. I want him to go all the way. I want to see that boy experience like real joy and glee.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. I'm so glad you're into it. So
Mhm.
yeah, I thought I just put a couple things down here for our little F1 corner. The current team and driver standings.
Mhm.
So right now, McLaren is in the lead as a team with 151 points. Mercedes is second with 93. Red Bull 71, and Ferrari is right behind them in fourth place with 57. Um, Haas is number 5 with 20 points.
Interesting.
Mercedes down there with 19 points as a team right now.
Williams
Oh, yes.
Mercedes.
Sorry. Yeah. Williams there, not
Right, you
Mercedes.
have to
Mercedes. So
this chart
here's
is Mercedes, but over here, Mercedes, but with a hat on.
here's one thing I did
Mercedes, but with
not
a
tell
mustache.
you in when
Yeah,
I explained it all. There are certain teams that make their own engine, and there's certain teams
you did
that
mention
buy an
this.
engine from another
You
team.
did mention this. Yes. This I knew.
Okay. So yeah. So people like Williams, they buy their engine from Mercedes, as their name would imply. Here on I have the like F1 website up with the standings here. So yeah, Williams has 19, Aston Martin has 10, Racing Bulls has 7, Alpine has 6, and Kick Sauber also has 6, which is pretty great. Things are moving along. McLaren is out there with a
It's
commanding lead right now.
truly commanding. This is
Yeah,
another thing about this sport that's so fascinating to me is that it is this strange hybrid of a solo sport and a team sport.
right. Yeah.
Where like McLaren does have it wrapped up for the constructors trophy, but for the actual drivers trophy,
Well,
that's
again, we're only like 4 races in. That's what
right.
happened
I
last
mean,
year. Red Bull was
wrap
in a commanding lead, and then like halfway
that's
in,
that's true.
all
That's
of a
true.
sudden, here comes
I
McLaren.
the fact that it's these two guys who were both trying to win individually and trying to work together to win for their entire team is unique in the world of sport as far
Right.
as I know. Like when you watch the Super Bowl or whatever, you know eventually one of these guys is going to be awarded MVP, but that doesn't seem to be one of the major stories of the game while you were watching it. And it's like something a committee decides later. I don't think that you can like numerically qualify to be MVP. It's more of like
Right.
a juried look at like your all around performance and a number of different
And
factors.
I don't think
Like
you
you can't
win anything. It's not like you get like here's an extra like 2 million for
you get a
that.
trophy and an extra box of Wheaties, maybe. I'm not
Right.
sure. But with this, you have to think about this game in two ways on every one of these races.
Hmm.
And there can be things like I watched those practices on Friday. Lando was in first place. On Saturday, Lando hits the wall. He's knocked down to 10th. The Saudi Arabia track is so narrow. It's
Yeah.
so nerve-wracking.
One mistake and
Of like,
you're done.
right, he's never going to get up there. He's not going to podium for this. I mean, knock on wood. He's driving right now. Bless his heart.
Yeah.
Hope he's
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. So
Like,
though
this
that's
is
also the interesting thing about their practice sessions. They do
Mhm.
televise them and stuff like that. But just because someone is fastest in one of the practice sessions does not
Yeah.
necessarily mean anything in particular. Certain
Right.
teams could actually be trying to push and learn how to work with their car and learn that circuit at those speeds, while other teams might be holding back to be like, hey, we don't want to play all of our cards right now. We think we'll be fast, but we don't want to show the other team, right? So there's still this like strategy in the practice
Yeah.
and stuff there. So
It's such a long game for how fast the maneuvering itself is. It is race cars. You have to play such a long strategy and like stamina for months and months. It's a
yeah,
really interesting combination of dynamics for me. There's a
yeah,
lot of tension in how the sport goes.
indeed. I'll switch over here to the drivers' standings. Um,
Mm,
so right now, Lando Norris is in the lead with 77 points, but he is followed very closely by his own teammate, Oscar Piastri, who has 74 points.
And
Um,
Oscar, I don't know quite as well, but he does seem like he's cool, he's calm, he's collected, nothing really bothers him, and everything bothers
yeah,
they're fun personalities to throw together.
one of the most like it was I don't remember if it was last race or the race before, but Oscar I think it was one of the ones that Oscar won, and when they told him and as he won the race, he said on the radio, I just had a little scream in my helmet. So he was obviously excited but did not
Yes,
like
yes.
broadcast it out. He was out over there being like, yeah, right, just
Yeah,
screaming, and you didn't get to
you
hear
don't
it.
you don't want to be one of these guys fighting for the top 3. You want to be somebody like in the middle. Like every time I see Alexander Albon, he's smiling. He's having a great time. He doesn't need to worry that much. You can I like
He's trying.
sport that where everybody's putting forth so much effort, and you have to remember, like even the guy in 20th place is
An incredible
mild,
driver. Yeah,
right? Like a far stronger, more intelligent, more adept human being than anybody you're ever going to run into in the course of your daily life. But
right.
I like that this is a sport that can have like such tension and also like this comfortable middle.
Though Alex Albon, he's generally seen as like the super smiley, happy, like good guy, gets along with everyone.
He's like a
He had a
cartoon
note.
prince.
You're right. Yeah, he had a radio message that came on where like his engineer told him to do something, and he responds back. He's like, "Shut up! I'm good. I'm good. I'm better than everyone right now." And he's like in 10th, right? It was just like, okay, Alex, all right. We'll leave you alone there, buddy.
You're the one behind the wheel. You get to yell, I guess.
It's fantastic, right? But it's such a high intensity thing that you can't have the distractions of like they do need certain information, but sometimes it's too much, right? And so you just
Yes.
hear them out there like, "Shut up, let me drive."
Right. Don't backseat drive me. I'm
Right,
the one
yeah.
out here.
Yeah. So yeah, we got Lando in first, Oscar in second. Max Verstappen is still holding his own in third. He has 69 points. Nice. Um, George Russell is in third with 63. Charles Leclerc in fifth with 32. Kimi Antonelli, the youngest rookie, up there with 30. Lewis Hamilton, who just moved over to Ferrari, he's there with 25 points in seventh place. Alexander Albon is in eighth with 18. Esteban Ocon in ninth with 14. Lance Stroll in 10th with 10 points. Pierre Gasly in 11th with 6. Nico Hulkenberg in 12th with 6. Oliver Behrman in 13th with 6. Yuki Tsunoda in 14th with 5. Isaac Hadjar in 15th with 4. Carlos Sainz in 16th with 1 point. And then Fernando Alonso, Liam Lawson, Jack Jowen, and Gabriel Bordelado are 17th through 20, respectively, and they all have 0 points at the moment. So those are the standings right now.
In the Meet the Drivers video, they asked the drivers to all describe themselves in 3 words, and a lot of it is stuff like driven, fast, a winner, and Liam Lawson just says blonde.
Yeah. It's great. Love it. Love it. Good stuff. So yeah, that is the standings currently. We've already had 4 races. The race that is happening right now is the 5th one. Australia was first. Lando Norris won that one. China was second. Oscar Piastri won that one. Japan was next. Max Verstappen won that one. Bahrain was after that, and Oscar Piastri won that. So that's an interesting thing. Oscar's won 2. Lando has won 1. And from what I understand, Lando did something in qualifying. I think he started this race in 6th or something, or
right.
much.
He was slightly outside
down
of the little box you're supposed to be in. He was knocked down for a technicality.
That was in Bahrain.
Okay.
Yeah. But for the race that's happening now, something happened in qualifying where he probably would have been up there in first or second, but got knocked down to 6th or below because he made a mistake, and it's just oh man. So yeah, he's struggling. He's gonna be another sad boy unless he can somehow do something to get himself back up there. But yeah,
there's got to be an
Saudi Arabia is happening right now.
There's got to be an AMV of just footage of Lando Norris staring into the middle distance while they play "Everybody Hurts."
Everybody hurts, right? So yeah, that's the race that's happening today, Saudi Arabia. The next one is Miami. This is the first of the 3 United States Grand Prix.
Already in the city where the heat is on.
Yeah, exactly. Bienvenidos a Miami. This one will be televised, will be pretty easy for people to watch if you have ESPN, since it is here in the United States. It's not at 3 a.m. like most of them, the races are, or 6 a.m.
It starts at 2 in the afternoon or something.
Right,
you can go see it during normal Buffalo Wild Wings operating hours.
Yeah, which I think is what you said you were
I'd like to
try and go do.
That day I have tickets to go see Nashville at the Alamo Drafthouse, a movie that's been on my to watch list for a long time, so I'm going to take it. But I can catch, I think, at least the second half of the race.
I gotcha.
At wherever it is I find myself.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that is one that will be easy for people to watch. But yeah, what else was I going to do? So just some of the kind of bigger headlines. Obviously, I mentioned this to you, I think, last episode, but Liam Lawson got demoted from Red Bull. He is now on the Racing Bulls, and Yuki Tsunoda got promoted up. He went from the Racing Bulls now to Red Bull proper. I thought that was the move they should have done originally, just by seniority. Yuki has more experience than Liam Lawson. But if you watched Drive to Survive, which I know you did, Liam kind of had that cutthroat attitude last year that I think got the attention of Red Bull, but it was just not performing super well there. But Yuki did score some points in the Red Bull since he's been in that car, and it's the first points the second Red Bull driver has scored since Las Vegas last year, which is like November, December-ish. So he's been doing all right. Not the greatest. I think he qualified in like ninth, like eighth or ninth for the race today, which is okay, right? He's in the top 10. That's really good. That is certainly better than what Liam Lawson did in those two races in the Red Bull. But hopefully he gets up there in the points. I'd love to see Yuki on a podium this year. Fingers crossed that happens. That'd be amazing.
I watched this pre-show today before the Saudi Arabia GP, where like every team comes out one by one, and they like stand on where the podium is. But it's like before the race, and they like wave to people, and like some beautiful reporter woman asks them a couple questions.
Yeah.
And the Red Bull team's like a couple ones into the rotation. Yuki's the first person to walk out there and like sit down while this reporter's talking to Max. He's just sitting waving at everybody. Like, take it. Yeah. Nobody else is. It's got to be so hot out there. Rest up.
I bet. Yeah. Yeah. So
they
that's
would
been
rotate these
news.
two reporter women. One got 5 and then another got 5. There was not one reporter woman out there for all 10. I'm like, is it so hot that it's like we have to switch these ladies in and out? You can't have one out there for a straight 4 minutes.
Right, yeah. Or at least just like, hey, this way you won't need to memorize so many questions or talking points that you want to do, right?
We can flip a coin for who gets what rotation, or we can test you on how each of you pronounce Charles Leclerc.
Kimi Antonelli, the youngest rookie on the grid. There's a handful of rookies out there, but he's been doing pretty good.
He really has.
Yeah.
I'm astounded.
Pretty astounding is the right word indeed. So that's been one of the big news things. Apparently at the Bahrain Grand Prix, if I'm not mistaken, Carlos Sainz showed up late to the national anthem and was fined like $1,500, to which he then had to go to his doctor and get a note that said, no, I have tummy problems. I was in the bathroom. To get his fine reduced to only like 10,000 something. So yes, Carlos Sainz got fined for pooping.
Incredible.
That is the most expensive poop I've ever heard of.
Right. It's like him and astronauts where their poops cost that much.
Right, yeah.
Carlos looks like he looks like if cologne became a man.
Yes. Like that kind of hunk that you would see in like a jeans commercial for like Calvin Klein or like some perfume commercial. Even if the like Matthew McConaughey car commercials voice was embodied in some like Spanish model, right? It is him, right?
Yeah, he looks like you walked through like the cologne and like fine men's fashion area at like a Nordstrom, and it all rolled up into one guy.
Carlos Sainz, he's funny. There's I saw a video of him recently where he's like trying to cook pancakes. And he's just struggling. Yeah.
Keyword.
Yeah. So yeah, that is kind of the F1 corner that we have there. That's our fourth corner, rounding it all out. We have now built a house in almost 2 hours time. There we go.
We had a lot to catch up on.
We did.
And next time we're gonna build a Star War in some way.
Yeah, I think it will be May the 4th when we are recording it. So yeah, build a Star Wars. I'm not sure what exactly that will entail. If we are casting actors or making up our own characters, we are making up our own plots, our own planets, locations, or borrowing ones that exist. Who knows? We'll have some fun with that one. So be on the lookout for a little game next time. Maybe I'll mix in the food draft and we'll have to go through all of the Disney World Star Wars themed food and include 3 of those in our movie. Something like that.
Can we build a Star Wars land?
I mean, yeah.
I'm much more of a theme park nerd than an
exists,
actual Star Wars
right?
nerd.
Maybe your Star Wars movie takes place at a theme park in the Star Wars world.
Maybe.
What are
Right,
theme
we have
parks you
theme parks
see
about Star Wars, but does anybody in Star
canon?
Wars have a theme park they go to?
Yeah. I know that pleasure yachts exist, and they have whole planets that are like dedicated to gambling.
Yeah.
As
Yeah,
we
but does
see in,
Canto
like,
Bite have any animatronics?
you know what? They might.
Also, on our next episode, I gotta tell you about Epic Universe. All the Epic Universe vlogs are coming out.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah. Would love to hear.
Okay.
So yeah, let's wrap things up right there since we've been recording for a super long time. Melissa, where can the people find you on the internet?
You can email me at yourhostmelissa@gmail.com.
There you go, indeed. If you guys want to follow me, I'm at Yo Kyle Springer on a bunch of different social media places. If you want to stay up to date with all the stuff we do here at the Whatnauts, we are at thewhatnauts.com on Blue Sky. We're also on Threads as well. You can find us there. If you are watching this on YouTube, we got plenty more videos for you over there on that side of the screen. Please go check those out. That would help us out a ton. But yeah, this has been number 294 of the Whatnauts Captain's Log. We will see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.